This is a tutorial on the ZwoBot Rotary device. ZwoBot is a suite of Max for Live devices which allow you to create visuals inside Ableton. And if you're not familiar with ZwoBot, I'd recommend you go back and watch my earlier tutorials. I'll put a link to those in the top right corner of the screen now. And if you'd like to buy ZwoBot, there is a link in the description. So, the rotary device, this basically splits up and duplicates the visual and then allows you to rotate it in different ways. So I've got this image that I've loaded up in my video deck. I've already connected the rotary device to my player. And as soon as we switch it on, you can see the effect coming into play. What it's done is it's duplicated the visual and put it on top of it with some transparency. So you can still see the underlying image, but it's added an additional duplicate of it on top. And by default, it's split it into 4 quarters, and it's taken the bottom right and put it in the top left, and the top left in the bottom right, and the top right in the bottom left, top right. So basically it's split it into quarters and swapped the corners around, which is why you're getting this effect where it's split up and moved around. First of all, let's look at this size dial. This controls the size of the duplicated visual. So you can see as I'm bringing it down, it's creating multiple versions of the image that are smaller. And then if I bring it up, we're just seeing one version of the image that is bigger. Over here we've got speed, and that controls the speed of the rotation. However, in order for the rotation to happen, you need to turn the density up. So the density controls how big the rotation is going to be, or how big of an area it's going to rotate across. As I turn it up, you'll see that it's covering a bigger area, and then the speed will control the speed of that rotation. Over here we've got Attractor, which will switch between W and B, which stands for white and black. So that basically controls the transparency mode. So you could think of that as the blend mode between the duplicated visual and the underlying visual. So you can just make that darker or lighter. And here we've got layer. So this can control how many layers of the image you have. So at the moment we've just got one. But if I start to turn that up, you can see now we've got 2 layers, and then we can have 3, 4, etc. And you can have up to 16 different layers. We've got this vignette set in here, so that will add a vignette effect, but where that effect is will depend on your size setting. So if I put the size back to the default, and I put this to white, it's also going to be impacted by the density of the rotation. You can see when the density is low, and we've got the size at the default setting, the vignette is basically applying a mask in the middle of your image. So the extra version of the images and all the rotation are just going to be around the edges. So if you want to see your underlying image in the middle, you can apply this vignette effect. But then as you start to bring the density up, it's starting to cover that central area as well, and same will happen with the size. So how this vignette effect appears is going to depend on what you've got for your size and density settings. And then we've got this R and L button, which stands for right and left, so that just controls the direction of the rotation. So you can have it rotate to the left, or you can have it rotate to the right. All of these controls have sound reactivity, and they also have beat controls. So you can have them change in accordance with your project BPM, so you can sync it to the BPM, or you can have them change in response to the audio. Let's just unmute this track. I'm gonna have the speed set to be synced to the BPM, so I'm going to turn this beat control on here, And I've got my master beat control set to half note. I'm going to change that to 1 note. That is going to change this speed dial randomly in sync with my BPM. The density I'll have change in accordance with the audio, so I'll set that to low. So this is going to jump up in response to the lower frequencies of the track. And maybe I'll have the layer respond to the higher frequencies. And I'll have the direction change with the beat control as well. Turn the vignette effect off and maybe have the size come up a bit. And in the bottom left hand corner we have our transparency and blend modes. So this control changes the overall transparency of the effect. And then here we have a selection of blend modes that will blend the effect with the underlying image.